Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to yet another episode of Business Networking on Thinkly Talks. So today I have a very special guest who has.
So we are right.
Yeah. So our guest today is Rahul Agarwal.
So good afternoon, everybody.
Rahul Agarwal is the founder and chief executive officer of Ideal Insurance Private Limited. Just to give you a brief idea about Rahul's impressive biodata, let me just read out a profile of Rahul. So Rahul is India's youngest chartered financial analyst. He became that in 2001. He completed his MBA from SP Jain Institute of Management and Research, Mumbai in 2005, and immediately launched Ideal Insurance. He also pursued the family managed business program from ISB Hyderabad. In 2023, he was chosen for the Seed Transformation Program of Stanford University. Rahul is invited as a guest lecturer on entrepreneurship and insurance by the country's top colleges like ISB, IIM Ahmedabad, IIM Calcutta, KJ Somaiya, and SP Jain, apart from various industry bodies. I think something more interesting and what drew me to Rahul for this particular conversation is the fact that he's been associated with many organizations like BNI, TIE, CII, Young Indians, MCCI, Roundtable India, and Entrepreneurs Organization EO, and is very, very well networked. He is also the executive director of BNI Kolkata CBD region and CBD and North region. He's an angel investor since 2022 and has invested in over 15 startups and mentors several more. Recently, Rahul launched his first book, first in many, I'm sure, called The Ideal Entrepreneur, an Idiot's Guide to Building a 300 crore company. And today we are going to ask him exactly all of that on how to build a 300 crore company and his experience of having done that. It's always good to hear it from somebody who's done that. Good afternoon and welcome to Business Networking, Rahul.
Good afternoon, people. Very good afternoon. Thank you so much for the opportunity. I'm looking forward.
Great. So, I happened to start reading your book and, I just couldn't put it down. I actually read it through almost half the night till I actually had to be forced to go to sleep because I had a BNI meeting the next day morning. And then as soon as the BNI meeting got over, I got back home and continued to read it because it was that much interesting and I was glued to it. What a fabulous book. And, and it's told me everything that I need to know in this podcast. But, you're right here. And I just thought I'll take this opportunity to, hear it straight from the horse's mouth, as they say. So, you had a kind of a typically a non-typical career path as such. You did your MBA, and after MBA, normally most of the MBA students go for a career with a multinational and so on. But you moved to entrepreneurship, and and that too in a very a different sort of an industry of insurance way back then in 2005. The insurance was a sunrise industry at that point of time. Which is very atypical even in a business community. So can you just tell us a little bit about your early days, what got you into insurance and, not something that somebody would have thought of at that point of time.
So not really, it was different. It was very difficult because insurance is one of the most difficult industries. And I always say that nobody goes into insurance by choice. I'm one of the very rare people who chose the industry.
Right.
Otherwise, people just happen to enter the industry by chance and then they make it a career. So actually, by coincidentally, when I was in college, I wanted to go abroad for my studies. So
Right.
while in college, the Western universities, they count your work experience, right, when you're applying. So I thought, why not take up some job during my college in Calcutta? We have morning colleges.
Right.
So while I was in second, third year, I didn't get a job, but I managed to become an agent in So that was the year 2001 when all the private insurers had come to India for the first time.
Right.
The industry had opened, and I landed up becoming a insurance agent with one of the American backed insurance companies, Max New York Life. I thought I'll get some exposure, to working in a corporate environment. Plus, it's an American company,
Yeah.
so that'll add to my CV. I became an agent and I did very well. I became something called an MDRT there in 3 months,
Right.
which a very established agent takes 12 months. And now, coincidentally, the company sent me to America to represent Max New York Life. They send me to their head office. They have an annual program where they invite all their agents from across the world.
Right.
So I did very well. They had sent me to America. That was my first trip abroad. Now that is where I got actually to understand how big the insurance industry is worldwide. And in India, it was in a very, very nascent stage. It still is in a very nascent stage after 20 years. Okay. But that time it was all the more. But there my mind opened up that how big the insurance business could be in India. So after I came back, I mean, of course, I was a good student. I finished my studies, did my MBA, and then I decided that I will get into insurance, and I went and started Ideal Insurance. Even before that, a very small thing. I was, of course, very confused that whether I should take up a job, work for 2, 3 years, get experience of how business is managed, rather than just jumping like a fresher, not knowing anything about how to run a business, how to manage people. So I
Right.
was contemplating this when I got a message from a friend that sometimes you have to jump down the cliff and grow wings while falling down.
Right.
So, that message helped me, jump and just take the fall. And, I decided to start Idle right away. But why I'm telling the story is to tell my viewers not to make that mistake. Okay, don't get sentimental. But I think that was a mistake. I should have worked somewhere under someone, maybe an insurance broker, get 2, 3 years of experience, get the tricks of the trade, right? So, it might have delayed my starting the company by 2, 3 years, but I'm sure I would have grown much faster had I got the basic knowledge about those things. So, yeah, on a hindsight, so I've shared this also. My book is all about
Correct. Yes.
my learnings and mistakes. So it is very
Yeah.
pertinent that I tell this that, it was a mistake. I should have worked somewhere for 2, 3 years and then started my company.
Yeah. In fact, I remember in the book you mentioned somewhere that when you start your company, you should have sufficient savings to, uh, last for about 2 years or something like that.
Yes.
When
Even
you,
that and a lot of things, right? Otherwise, you're
yeah,
always fighting on staying afloat and you're
correct.
not able to focus your energies and effort in growing the business.
So, folks, here is a person who's now running and heading a 300 crore enterprise and is telling you that, before you begin your business, you need to have a little bit of experience under your belt. And you should also, if possible, have sufficient savings because the initial part of an entrepreneur's journey is a little tough. And how tough it was for Rahul, we'll hear it from him. So I'm sure the first few years were not easy, like it is not for most entrepreneurs. Very
It is
few are
still not very
lucky.
easy.
Correct. So can you walk us through some of those, things? I mean, I've read it all in the book, but I think for our audience, it is important that they know what it is all about.
So I faced all the problems that a typical entrepreneur faces and more, especially because I was 24 years old, right?
Correct.
So to put it, I didn't have money. I didn't have money to pay salary. I didn't have any knowledge about the insurance business except for my very limited time in Max New York Life. And anyways, the broking business was more about general insurance, of which I
Right.
had zero clue. So I didn't have money. I didn't have knowledge. I didn't have team. I didn't have money to pay for good people, right? I didn't know how to run a business, right? I had zero clue, right? So you can understand all the challenges, I would have faced in that situation, how to reach out to customers, how to manage accounts, how to manage marketing. Everything was a trial and error. Of course, I had a decent education. I did my MBA from SP Jain, so that helped me quite a lot in how to market myself, right? Small things like having a good logo, having a good company name, designing a brochure, reaching out to people, doing networking. But for me, it was more of on the going learning, right? I made one mistake, learned from that, made another. So that's why my initial few years were very, very slow because my learning curve was very, very long. Okay. So,
I
but
remember
yes,
one part in your uh, book where you said that you approached SP Jain to, give you some initial funding, and then they told you that your business was not glamorous enough or something like that. So, some of those problems also were there, right?
Yeah, so why would anyone invest in such a fresh? And that time it was not a startup era. Okay, now people are ready to bet on dynamic young individuals who are motivated. That time it was not so much. So to raise any money was very, very difficult, and that to insurance industry which no one understood. Right, it was very
Yeah.
difficult to raise any fund. Right. So as I said, all sort of problem. Then I ran into a problem with getting a license, insurance broking license from IRDA. You know how stupid license things can be in the country.
Correct.
Cut the long story short, they made me run from pillar to post for at least 5 to 6 months just to get that license. They had some regulatory approvals which are generally very, very stupid. I had to go to RBI. Actually, I went and put dharna outside RBI office for 3 days, and then somehow I managed to get a right person, one Mrs. Usha Tharot, who was the director of RBI, and she was kind enough to help me out, right? And I came to know I got the license in record time of 6 months. People have to wait 2 3 years to get the license, right? So practically all kind of challenges that you can imagine in the book, which any entrepreneur in India has to face, right?
So, one of the things that you mentioned is also the fact that you've, have hired and worked with some of the right people, and versus vis-a-vis, hiring the best people. I remember, that vividly in your book where you said that, we always hire the right people. Can you elaborate a bit on this? What do you mean by right
I
versus
have a very
best?
good example. Do you watch IPL?
Yes.
I don't watch IPL, but I did came to know this season that Mumbai Indians had 4 or 5 top rated players, and yet they finished the bottom of the table, right?
Correct.
So it is not about getting individually the best people, but yes, you have to look for people with whom you can gel along. You have complementary skills, right? You have a good camaraderie, right? Plus, having complementary skills is very important. For example, I was very good in marketing strategy. I'm not very good in back office operations finance, right? So
Yeah.
so it's very important for me to find someone who can handle back office and finance, right? So I can focus on my core. Then, to have a good partner, you need to have that kind of trust and that kind of vision, right? If
Right.
you may be two individually wonderful people, but if you're not aligned towards the same goal, right, then it will create a lot of problems. So choosing the right partner and then choosing the right people, okay,
Right.
both are very, very important, especially in the initial stages. Once you're a big company, people will come, people will go. But initial stages, you cannot afford to make a mistake, right? So you have to be very careful in getting the right people. I did make my mistakes. Again, I had people who were I hired the wrong people as well, apart from the right people. Okay, but as I
Right.
said, I only learn from my own mistakes. Okay.
And then you get the right people on board, give them the right amount of,
Yes.
put the right trust in them, trust that they will, back
Yeah,
you
you have
and
to
back
put
your
trust, believe
vision.
in their abilities, and let them perform. Then at the
Correct.
same time, I did one good thing was that, I always believed in sharing my organization, which many entrepreneurs are very reluctant. So I gave
Correct.
equity to some wonderful individual. In fact, two of my early partners, whom I gave equity, and they merged their business with me, now are my co-founders, both Rahul Mohta and Ravi Kothari. It's been
Right.
almost 12, 13 years with them, and we are going absolutely fantastic. We have grown from strength to strength, and together we have built up a wonderful business. Right. So I've seen the importance, and before Rahul and Ravi also had a couple of people, but it didn't go out very well with them,
Correct.
right? But now once RM and Ravi were on board, our growth trajectory has been very different. So I've seen both the sides, the loss of having a wrong person and the perks of having the right team on board.
Correct. Correct. And as you go along, you learn things and then you implement them as it works for you. I mean,
Yes.
that's what your entire journey has been. Actually. So, also, in some part of the book, you mentioned the fact that, we should look at agreements between, between your partners, between your, all. And can you touch up a little bit on this? Because very often, a lot of entrepreneurs have that misunderstanding that, a lot of things can be said verbally and done verbally, or, have a loose agreement. What would you say to that?
I think not all. Every business has this problem. Every family business, every big business. We have already seen in India so many big business houses, getting broken up because of disagreements, right? So what happens, when you start, when you start a company, everyone is very enthusiastic, right? Everyone has the common goal of growing the company, right? You're always short on funds. But, when the company starts growing and you have created wealth, then the real problem starts. Okay, then I would not say that people are wrong, but you can have different expectations. Okay, plus somebody may feel that I have done more, the other person may feel I have done more for the company, I should get more, I should get, why is he getting more? There could be a lot of such kind of disagreements or confusion, commotion. So it's absolutely best to define everything when you are starting, right? What is the KRA? What will be the job responsibilities? What will be the financial implications? How will the shareholding will be? What is the exit? So now one more thing that I learned last year, to have an exit clause when you're starting. In fact, that's something I learned after writing the book. Okay, we
Right.
never used to have exit clause. Now, whenever we are doing a partnership, we also have an exit clause, right? So if things does not work out, you know how the exit will also happen, right? So when you define these things, trust me, the partnerships are much more strong. You exactly know what you're getting into. Okay,
Right.
and it's much more long lasting. I mean, I had to face, uh, uh, so me and my brother used to work together, and then we parted ways. Absolutely, because we didn't have a clear understanding,
Right.
on such kind of things. And I think had we had that kind of understanding, things would have been different. And we might have grown even bigger today, if we were together. So again, I have seen, in fact, me, RM, and Ravi Kothari also had our disagreements early on.
Right.
Okay, because of lack of, although we did have a agreement, but not very elaborately defined. But
Mhm.
yes, we were mature enough to get over it. We understood each other, and with time, we defined our things much more clearly. But it's best to have this conversation. Many people find it very uncomfortable to have this kind of conversation, especially in a family between two
Right.
brothers or with the father, right? But trust me, they will only feel bad once, but it will ensure that your business is sustained and you have very cordial relations throughout the journey in future.
Correct. Well, thank you so much. So there are a lot of questions coming in on the community. So I just thought I'll take a couple of questions from there.
Sure.
So one is by Arnav Shinde. So it's a very generic question. So please choose to answer it the way you would like it to. So how did you secure initial funding for your business? Is what Arnav is asked.
So I did not secure any initial funding. My business was very bootstrapped,
Right.
Mr. Shinde. So initially I was only going out and selling in the market. I one good thing was I always, since I didn't have money, I kept my costs very, very low, right? So whatever money I made by insurance sales, I used to reinvest that money in hiring more people in marketing, right? The more I earned, the more I started spending. So it was a very, very typical bootstrap business. Okay, so we never raised any fund until 2018, right? When we raised a small fund to buy out a company, and just 1 month back, we have raised $1 million for our working capital requirement. This year, we're looking to raise about 5 to 10 million, right? But yes, we never raised money when we started. Okay, I would have loved to raise money that would have helped me in growing faster, but yeah, it was difficult to get money that time. So, and that was also one reason again why I said, the initial years were very slow. Okay,
Right.
because we didn't have much money to spend on good manpower and other things.
Well, thanks, Rahul, for answering that. There are a couple of more. I'll take that right here because this is also about how you uh, do that. So question comes from Rashi. Her question is how to build and maintain customer loyalty, and from Desmond, it's how important is customer feedback in improving your offering.
Okay, so in the first question, there are so many books that can be written and have been written. Okay, it's very difficult to answer in a very short, but I'll still tell you the basics. Okay. One is be very transparent with your customer, right? Tell him exactly what he's getting, what is right and what is wrong, what is good and what is bad in your product or service. Okay. Transparency is the key. Second, of course, give him the best service that you can and always strive to improve. Okay. Compare yourself with your other competitors. What are they doing? How you can improve from, how you can compare to them. What are the value adds that you can. So it's a constant ongoing thing. Yeah, you need to keep on improving. Okay, and that's so the best way to keep a long-term customer is to give him value. Okay, the best products and services. So if you're giving him the best services, in the long run, the pricing will not matter. Okay, pricing only matters when he's not happy with your product or service or advice, depending on the nature of the business. Relationship management, of course, is very important, but after a point of time, it's very difficult to manage relationship with each and every client. So that's where system and processes and ensuring that your team is also following the same thing is very important. Customer feedback, of course, is the most important thing. Even today, I love talking to my customers. My number is given in the last escalation because I want to know what's going wrong rather than what's going right. So we can keep on improving. And it's not only about improving, it's also about getting feedback on, what are the mistakes in our process, or, which are the people who are not performing adequately. So customer feedback is the most important task. One is real-time feedback you can take after every transaction, and one is you can do a periodical survey with your clients on how happy or unhappy they are with your product or service.
Okay, I hope this has answered your questions, Rashi and Desmond. So, one of the things that you mentioned is that, processes and how important it is to have the right process so that you will able to, meet customer requirements. Receiving feedback and acting on that feedback is also processes. And, one of the things that your company is big on is processes. You have a standard operating process for every role, within the company. Can you elaborate a bit on that? And also, after you've done that, I want you to elaborate on reviews, because these are two things which most entrepreneurs, at least in an early stage, don't focus on. Much of this comes at the later part of their journey. But you've said that try and have it as early as possible. So if you can elaborate a bit on how you set up SOPs and how did you get into doing your reviews, so that will help a
So
lot of budding entrepreneurs.
both are my weaknesses, and both are concepts which I learned pretty late and which I
Okay.
realized are the most two important concept in any business, and which should be there before you start the business. Right? I learned about SOP uh, after a good 7, 8, 10 years of my business. Right?
Right.
SOP or system standard operating procedure is the way you run a business. Right? When you, for example, when you go to a McDonald's, they can guarantee you a burger in 7 minutes because everyone knows what they're supposed to do. You don't have to tell them every time a customer walks in, what has to be done. Right? The
Right.
person at the counter knows how to take the order. The security guard knows how to put you in the line. The person preparing the burger knows, immediately the order comes, he has to prepare. No one has to ask anyone what has to be done. Right? You can only scale up once you have such kind of system in your organization. Otherwise, what happens? Every transaction, everyone gets involved. Too much of inefficiency, too much of confusion, right? And you can never have a standardized process. So if you want to
Right.
scale up, having strong system processes are very important. Not necessarily that you implement all the systems at one time. You can start with one, take one process, right? Work on that, pick up another process. It's an ongoing goal,
Right.
and you keep on also evolving and changing the process with time, right? But yes, it's best to lay down processes, before you start the company.
Right.
Okay. Second is review. It's a very old saying that what is not measured is not done, right? So review system has to be very, very immaculate, right? I mean, I talked to a lot of CEOs and a lot of wonderful people, and the more successful somebody is, the more strong is his review. In fact, I would like to mention I read this book about Alan Mulally, right? He
Right.
was the one of the one of the best CEOs in the world who turned around Boeing,
Sundar.
then he turned around Ford. Okay, and uh, and his entire book, yeah, I'm just forgetting the name of the book. So the entire book is about his review system,
Right.
right? How his review system helped him turn around the companies, right? Because he would know every week what's happening around the world, okay, in his organization. Who's doing what, who's doing right, who's doing wrong, and what happens when you're doing a weekly, monthly review. You keep on taking course correction measures, right? Otherwise, something is going wrong, it'll keep on going wrong, you would never know, right? Plus, if you're taking on a review, even your team knows that they are answerable to you after the week, okay? So they will have to come back and answer to you. So they will also be on their toes all the time. Okay. So these are not, some big jargons or rocket sciences. Trust me, they are the very basic concepts. And again, the purpose of writing the book is that even I consider myself a very exposed, a very knowledgeable, well-educated person. Even a person like me didn't know what SOP is or the importance of review system, right? So I wanted to tell people, the basics of business, which are not taught anywhere, right? And we have to learn ourselves only. But if you genuinely ask me, two most important thing for your business, it's SOP and review system.
Okay. I mean, SOPs and reviews and the amount of time and effort you spend in actually explaining those, and you actually put some pictures of your SOPs. You actually, said that how each process will move in each role. It's lovely. I mean, any entrepreneur who would like to, set up his business, must have a look at what you've written, because, that will give them an idea of how to set up SOPs for their own business. Another important aspect of business which you have touched upon very beautifully, and that's probably one of the reasons why we are here today and talking, is this whole aspect of business networking. I mean, you've been a networker even before you became an entrepreneur. So you have your alumni network, and you have your network, within the family as well. So, you've been part of every possible uh, network that one can be part of. So can you talk a little bit about what business networking means to you, and how you have used business networking to reach where you've reached today?
So actually, I'll just differ. I didn't know much about networking when I started business. Okay.
Right.
Although I realized later that I had the genes of my father, who was great into relationship management, and he had a wonderful network. So which I imbibed, but it was a little later that I really understood the importance of networking, and then I capitalized on it. So the way I put it normally is that आपको क्या लगता है? What does Mukesh Ambani does? Right? He doesn't sit and checks कि आज production कितना हुआ, right? कि आज कहाँ क्या काम हो रहा है. He is doing networking, right? His networking is at a different level. He's networking with the monarchs, the head of states, the prime ministers, or head of corporations. But everyone is networking and doing relationship management. And unfortunately, and I think this is one of the biggest skill an entrepreneur needs to have. Unfortunately, it is not even taught in the best of colleges across the world,
Correct.
the
Correct.
importance of networking and relationship,
That's
right? I mean, you ask any entrepreneur, right, how things become easier if you have a wonderful network, and how relationship management helps in scaling up your business. Okay, so once I understood, I started becoming part of many organizations and started building a network. And today I can boast that the kind of network I have, and I'm getting very rich dividends. And in such a the one of the basic thing is tons. I get tons of business, right? People, it's such a competitive industry, but people reach out to me, right? Because of our brand, because of our PR, because of my network. We are being referred so many times by customers. Plus, if you're stuck somewhere, you can always use your network to come out of your problems. So there's so many things you can do with a network. So,
correct.
a network is very important for an entrepreneur, and you should start building that right away. Work on your alumni network. You can look at business networks like BNI. You can look at social networks like, not social, industry body networks like MCCI or CII. I mean, so many networks are available today. Okay. But yes, the bigger the network, the stronger your business will be.
And you've been with BNI now for almost 20 years, right? I mean, you joined BNI in
13 years.
2013 years, and you mentioned that you used to actually travel from Kolkata to Mumbai to attend a chapter meeting. So can you walk us through your fabulous journey in BNI? I mean, I didn't want to give a prelude because I want you to talk about it. So if you can
So
just
the
tell
real
us,
networking I learned from BNI only, and that's why I owe a lot to BNI. Okay, where
right?
I actually got exposed to formal networking. Right. I mean, like most of us just got to know about BNI, and I just recently moved to Bombay in 2009, 9-10, and one of my friends introduced me to BNI. And the moment I entered the meeting, I knew this is what I wanted in Bombay. The same day I became a member, and then the rest is history. I learned a lot from BNI. I got a lot of business. I created a very good network in a very short span of time, being in a completely new city like Bombay. And when I moved back to Calcutta, right, I asked them that why didn't you start in Calcutta? And unfortunately, there was no BNI in Calcutta. So they asked me that why didn't you start? So and then I took the initiative only because I love the concept. It has helped me, and I wanted that other people in Calcutta should also should experience the power of BNI. So that's how I started BNI, and now Calcutta is one of the best regions in the world. And BNI has been very instrumental in my journey. Right, apart from teaching me how to network, I have used the BNI network to expand my business. Very very well. In fact, we are looking to spread to 500 cities in the next 3 years, out of which at least 200 cities will come from BNI. Right? So
Okay. And you have this fascinating story about your launch. So would you like to tell us, because lot of our viewers are going to be people who are in BNI. So if you can tell us the story about how you launched BNI in Kolkata. I mean, it's a very fascinating story actually.
So it was very difficult, when we were launching the first chapter in Calcutta. BNI was not so popular in India. Forget Calcutta, right? Calcutta, no one had even heard about
Heard of it.
BNI, right? And there were hardly 3,000 members across India. So it was in a very early stage. So it was very difficult. In Calcutta, anyways, is a little laggard city. People are easygoing. So there to ask them to come for a meeting at 7 o'clock, 7:30 in the morning is like hell of a task. Okay, so but nonetheless, I believed in the concept. I started working. Uh, it was very difficult to invite people, but somehow after working for 4 5 months, me and my partner Rahul Mota, we managed to, get the 25 people which is needed to start a chapter. Okay, so then on the final day, which is 30th of May 2013, we were supposed to launch the chapter. So when you launch a chapter, I think most the BNI members know that we invite visitors, right? So we are all very charged up, and we have invited, hundreds of people, and we're expecting at least 100 people to come that day. And that time, the head of BNI India was Neeraj Shah, and he had come down to Calcutta from Bombay to attend the chapter launch. So at 8 o'clock, when when the meeting starts, there were hardly 17, 18 visitors in the room, and we were extremely dejected. Okay, that after so much of hard work, we just have like 17, 18 people, visitors who have turned up. But half an hour into the meeting, we had almost 75 visitors. So of course, the visitors, nobody expected that, if we meant 8 o'clock, the meeting will start at 8 o'clock. So people in India, anyways, I don't want to sound judgmental, but yes, we are a little, not particular about time.
Correct.
So, but yes, then it was a different story. Then there was no looking back, right? We had a great launch, and yeah, now Calcutta is one of the most rocking BNI cities across the world, right? Not only in India.
And you also have memberships, I think, in most of the cities in India, right? Wherever Ideal
Yeah,
has
so
a
wherever
presence.
we are present, our employees, our partners are BNI members. So
Correct.
I think if there's a competition, we will win hands down on the number of people from any organization in BNI.
Correct. Correct. Okay, so marketing and PR. I mean, PR and marketing both are very close to my heart, as you would know. Is also something that you've written about extensively in the book. You regularly appear on CNBC as an expert on insurance and insurance related industries. Also, you're quoted very extensively. You are interviewed very extensively in the media. So, can you tell us a little bit about your experience in marketing and PR and sponsorships, if you can speak about, because you also
So,
mentioned that sponsoring is something that you do very often.
okay. So marketing, I think marketing again, I was naturally strong in marketing, and I taken up marketing in SPGen, right,
Right.
in my management program.
Right.
In fact, when I started Ideal, I went back and read the marketing book of Kotler once again. Philip Kotler is one of the best books in
Right.
marketing, and which of course initially I tried to just learn from his book and copy whatever he has said, right, on small things about marketing. Okay, and then with time I evolved, studied more, right, because I understood one thing very clearly, that the more marketing, more the business. I still remember we had a marketing simulation game in SPJ called Markstrat, and
Right.
the main funda was the more you invest in marketing, the more business you will get. Of course, with time, you become more smarter on marketing, you start realizing more return, right? We did our experiment here and there. And with time, I realized that what works more, right? Of course, because money is limited. So you have to invest in the right marketing
Right.
strategies.
Right.
Okay. PR, I learned from one of my mentors who taught me the importance of PR, right? Again, during my journey, and then I started doing PR. So started coming on news channels. We started getting articles in the newspaper. Now a lot of channels, they invite us whenever there's an insurance program. In fact, I'm again coming on CNBC sometime mid next month. They're doing a program on cyber liability insurance, cyber crime. So they invited me, as an expert, right? PR is actually even stronger than marketing, because PR is very organic, and PR gives you a lot of credibility. Marketing is important, but people know that marketing is more driven by monetary. PR is not
Right.
necessarily money driven. Okay, it creates more credibility on you. So both goes hand in hand, and you have to invest your time and effort into creating a strong marketing and PR.
Correct. And you also, have mentioned that, occasionally you need to sponsor
Vipul, can you be
activities.
a bit louder? I'm not able to.
So, is it better? Yeah. So, you mentioned that you must also, look at sponsoring activities at networking forums. In fact, in the national conference in June of BNI, you are the title sponsor. Can you tell us a little bit about that as well, and your association as the title sponsor of the India National Conference?
So that's a part of our marketing efforts and brand building efforts, right? So now with time, we have understood what are the right organizations for us, from where we can get good business or right kind of tie-ups. For example, right now we are focusing on getting partners with BNI insurance agents or chartered accountants or mutual fund agents in BNI across India,
Right.
right? So we are trying to reach out to them so that they can become partners with us. So
Right.
BNI INC is the right platform, where people from across India will be coming, the leadership will be coming, and when they know what we are doing and how the BNI agents can benefit with our tie-up, right?
Right.
They will go out and spread the word. And we already have got a lot of success in BNI in the last 3 months, right? In the last 3 years. So we just want to capitalize further on that, right? Then we sponsor events for industry bodies, Plastic Association, Jute Association, right? We have partnered with a lot of entrepreneur EOs and YPOs across India. So with time, we know now, what kind of marketing activity and what kind of sponsorships will give us good result, right? So we associate ourselves with such kind of events. And when you're regularly seen, or when you're regularly participating in those events, you are noticed, and people reach out to you.
Correct. Correct. Okay, so we'll take a couple of questions from the community now. There's a question from Raj Vyas. The question is, how did you approach product development and innovation in your industry? So, a little different question from what we've seen so far. So, product development and innovation, how did you focus on that?
See, we are not into making products. Okay, we are a distribution organization. Okay, we distribute the products of insurance companies, right? So we're not innovating any product, but yes, we have done a lot of value-added services in our business. For example, we offer something very innovative called RAA, Risk Assessment and Audit, where we do a very interesting and thorough audit of your insurance portfolio, right? And we do a gap analysis, what is right, what is wrong, right? Now, this came from customers only, where we realized that most of the time the customers don't know what they want. Their policies are wrong. Okay. So although we have not done any product innovation, but product innovation will come from the needs of your customer only, when they will tell you what are the gaps needed, what are the problems. Now, our current market strategy, where we are aligning with SME agents across the country, we're getting SME agents on board, again has come from feedback, because we realized there was a big problem area in the industry where the agents are not able to grow, okay, because of tough competition from brokers, online players, car dealers. Especially SME agents are finding it very difficult to scale up, right? And there are a lot of other challenges, right? So we created a wonderful platform and a service delivery where now, with our support, the same agents can grow 3 times, 4 times, 5 times, where before joining hands with us, they were not able to even get 10% growth.
Correct.
Right. So, the product innovation and other things come from understanding the market deeply. Where are the gaps? You have to keep your eyes and ear open, keep on talking to your customers, competitors. Okay. So that's how you can develop products.
Wow. I mean, that's something that's inspiring to a lot of people, because, talking to your competitors also, and, together perhaps growing the industry, and, working with solopreneurs, or, the agents who are small and medium, to help them scale up. It seems to be the way you've chosen to go about. So one more, the last chapter of your book was particularly touching. I thought it was, where you've spoken about your journey as an entrepreneur, which was, you said that sometimes very lonely at the top, you need to have a mentor. So, I thought that kind of summed up the dilemma or the difficulty that a lot of entrepreneurs face. Maybe they give up along the way as well, So can you tell us about it yourself? Because, I read it twice, to be very honest. It was so touching. So if you can just tell us a bit.
Sure, you can understand that came right from the heart and my own personal experiences. Okay. And exactly the reason of putting that was to tell every entrepreneur that you're not alone. We all face the same problem, right? And there's no shortcut to it, right? We have to be self-motivated.
Correct.
Okay. But yes, if you are persistent, if you keep on doing the good work, it may take time, but we'll get rewarded sometime. Sooner or later, we will get rewarded. But yes, it's not an easy journey, right? We have chosen it for ourselves. So let's not complain.
No, absolutely. And what is the role of the mentor that you see here? I mean, you said that you should have a mentor
Yes,
whom you
I'm
can
I'm
talk
I'm
to.
I'm glad you brought that up. I should have, that because I strongly believe in mentorship, and I feel that our business started taking off once I started having some good mentors. See, the role of mentor is very simple, right? They reduce your learning curve. Okay. They are people with a lot of experience. They have seen more than you, they are exposed more than you. Tomorrow, you can also be a mentor if you have spent good enough time in business and you have good exposure, right? So rather than learning from your own mistakes, it's better to learn from others' mistakes. To have some mentors, around you, probably from your industry or from your domain, or who have built business, or who are smart people, and from whom you can learn from their experiences. And you can have multiple mentors. You can keep on changing your mentors also, right? So I have a lot of such people with whom, wherever I am stuck, right, I go and approach them to pick their brains on what do they think about it, and many times I get great inputs from them, which really helps me. So please do have some wonderful mentors, identify some good mentors, and use their experiences rather than learning from your own mistakes.
Okay, so we're coming close to the end of the hour that I've asked of you. So, we're coming into the close. So I'll have one last question. What would be your advice to youngsters and to parents of these youngsters who want to take up entrepreneurship as a career option, is there something you would want to tell parents and young people so that, we have more and more entrepreneurs, in this country? Uh,
I got that. So to young people, I would say don't jump into entrepreneurship just because you find it fancy or just because your friend is doing it, right?
Right.
Do it because if you really are excited about it and if you're really passionate about your some idea or product or service, right? So only if it appeals to you, do it, right? Otherwise not, right? Everyone cannot become an entrepreneur. Okay. And even if you become an entrepreneur, have a backup plan, give yourself a fair amount of time. And if it doesn't work, just don't keep on wasting your life or time, energy, and money on this. Okay. For the parents, I don't think I can advise any parents. Parents are smart enough; they will always know what is best for their kid. But yes, if you can support and give them some words of encouragement, that's very helpful, right? Just if you say then that don't worry, you can fall and there, right? Then that in itself can be a very big confidence booster.
Correct. Yeah, sometimes, it's just that little pat on the back saying, I'm around, don't worry, take your chances. Maybe sometimes that's enough.
Because
And
everyone
if-
deserves one chance, if we are really passionate about something, okay, we deserve to go after it. We cannot have the regret that I didn't even try.
Correct. Okay, so thank you very much, Rahul. Thanks for sparing the time and coming on this podcast. I hope our listeners are only richer after hearing your experience. And please uh, pick up the book, The Ideal Entrepreneur by Rahul Agarwal. As he says, it's an idiot's guide to build a 300 crore company. Please read it. It's almost like speaking to the man. I mean, I could actually, I actually felt as if Rahul is reading the book to me. This conversation was almost like that. So thank you very much for writing the book and thanks for being on the show today.
Thank you so much, Vipul. Right, I really enjoyed, and I hope my words will inspire a few people and help them in their journey. Great. Thank you so much. Have a lovely day.